I think it's worth sitting with our Lord, entering into even his psychology in this moment. Because what we're essentially confronted with is an instance when Jesus is demonstrating how he reconciles injustice in the world, right? I mean, you have the Pharisees who oftentimes appear as the villain. Their origin story is good. Their intentions are to so protect themselves and the faithful from violating the law of Moses that they add all of these other traditions that serve as buffer zones so that you can't even get close to trespassing the law of Moses. But at the same time, they corrupt even that, as the human heart tends to do, so that it becomes a matter really of pride for them, and then an elitism, and then they're being judgmental and scrupulosity and harshness, and yields to acts of uncharity and all kinds of problems. And this, of course, because we're social beings, is affecting other people. It's stressing the consciences of other Israelites, the very people of God. It's keeping, ultimately, people away from the Lord himself. And here's Jesus, the very God who's come to be among the people, the bridegroom of the bride, and he's watching them do this. How come you and your disciples don't wash your hands? Okay, well, guess what? Moses never said that. You did, right? And God never gave you the power of binding and loosing. So that's a non-authoritative declaration. And yet, you're going to come in a public space and make people not only look bad, but feel unclean before God, and therefore they cannot approach him because of your tradition. And so our Lord simply says, he simply criticizes that rebuke by saying, it's not what comes out of the mouth, it's what comes from the heart, right? It's what comes from the heart. And this is the real origin of evil. And the apostles say, ooh, boy, you hurt their feelings when you said that. They're kind of upset. And here's how our Lord answers that. And this is what I want to get to for us. Every plant that my Father has not planted will be uprooted. So let them be. Now, prior to this moment in the gospel, our Lord had given the parable about the weeds and the wheat growing alongside each other. That which God himself sows and becomes wheat and bears fruit, and that which the enemy is busy sowing, and that becomes a weed. And they're all kind of like growing together and at the same time. And the apostles will say, like, well, why don't you just go and tear up all the weeds? And Jesus says, because you might accidentally tear up the wheat with it. So just let it be, and then at the end of the age, it will all get sorted out. Meaning justice happens. It's not denied, even if it is delayed a bit, but it will happen. And so here's our Lord now personally confronted with this, and he says, again, every plant that my Father has not planted, it will be uprooted. But for now, let it be. How can that inform the way we engage our world today? It is a serious undermining in the spiritual life, the impact that things like news and social media can have. I can't tell you as a priest how many conversations I have with people whose peace is totally robbed from them because they've engaged, they've given their heart access to outrage platforms. We know that mainstream media gets clicks and views by fomenting outrage so that when we watch it, we have to see what happens because we're so upset. And then when we go on social media, which gives every bozo a platform to usher their opinion as if it's super authoritative, and we look at this and then we get upset that this misinformation is thrown into the world, and people who might not know the truth are going to be confused by this, and real people are going to get hurt. And you know what? You're probably right. But our Lord doesn't tell them they can't have a platform. Our Lord hasn't shut down TikTok or Instagram or whatever else people are, Facebook. He just says, look, calm down. Every plant that my Father has not planted will be uprooted. So why are you allowing your own peace to be upset? Why are you giving them authority in your life to lead you away from God? Because now your own relationship with Christ is more difficult because it's poisoned by all of the seeds the enemy has planted by engaging in that kind of outrage resources. What if, when we find ourselves doing that, we just took a step back and said, I don't actually have to solve all these problems. And these problems always will exist in life. What if instead I just focused on my part of the vineyard where the Lord has planted me, and I made sure that the grass was nice and green and cared for here? And in that way, not only do I safeguard my peace, but I become a source of peace for those around me who need it.